So what we're going to do now is add an activity dashboard, and to do this we're going to make use of the Semantic UI grid system. Now all CSS frameworks come with the ability to use grids to lay out the page. And if we take a look at the grid inside the collections elements, we've got the various different options for what we can do with the Semantic UI grid system. Now this is very similar to other CSS frameworks. The only difference is that instead of using a 12-column grid, Semantic UI uses a 16-column grid. And what we'll do is we'll use the grid system to lay out our pages. So let's head back over to VS Code. And what I'm going to do is just create a new file. I'm just going to clean things up. And inside the client app, inside the source folder and features folder, I'm just going to create a new folder called activities. And inside here I'm going to create another new folder, and this one I'm going to call dashboard. And inside the dashboard folder I'm going to create a new file called activity dashboard.tsx. And just like any other component, it's going to start its life as a React functional component. And what we're going to do is add a grid into this and take our list of activities from our app component and put it inside here. But first of all, let's create the grid. So I'm just going to remove the div and start typing in grid so that we can get the auto import from Semantic UI. And inside our grid we have grid columns. So I'm just going to type grid and press tab so that I can automatically close the tag at the same time. And then I'm just going to start typing in column so that we have a grid column inside our grid, and this grid column is going to have a width of 10. And inside this grid column I'm just going to open my app.tsx again, and I'm just going to cut and paste my list inside my grid column here and just reformat. And I'll also need to bring in list from Semantic UI here, and we're getting an error because we don't have access to our activities at the moment. And what we need to do is pass our activities from our app component down to our activity dashboard. So let's go to our app component and add our activity dashboard inside the container. And then what I can do is take our activities and pass them down as a prop called activities to our activity dashboard. Now we're getting an error here because it's telling us our activities property does not exist as the activity dashboard props because we haven't told our activity dashboard about the structure of the props we're passing down to it. And what we need to do to correct that is we need to go to our activity dashboard, and first of all we need to create an interface. And whenever we're passing props down to a component, I'm just going to call it iProps. And the props that we're going to receive inside the activity dashboard is going to be activities, and it's going to be of type activity array. Now in order to make use of this iProps interface, we need to give our activity dashboard a type, and it's going to be a React.fc, which is a React functional component type. And then we can pass in the iProps as a type parameter to this. And then we can use our props object inside our activity dashboard. Now what we could do is specify props inside here, and we can see that this is given a type of React.propsWithChildren iProps. And then what we could do is say props.activities.map, and then this works just fine. However, it's extremely common to destructure the properties from the props object, and the way that we do that is we add curly brackets, and then we've got access to our activities property directly inside this, and then we don't need to specify props.activities. We can just use activities directly inside our activity dashboard. And we've pretty much found ourselves in the same position we were before, except our list is now contained inside a grid in another component. And if we take a look at our browser, we should find that nothing has really changed. But that's fine, because the idea of this is we're breaking up our application into smaller components. Now, what we're also going to have inside our activity dashboard is an activity list. And this is going to contain the list of our activities, instead of storing them at the activity dashboard level. So what we'll take a look at next is creating an activity list that's going to contain our activities.